This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, George Stephanopoulos.
And we are coming on the air right now with the breaking news that the pioneering musician Prince has died at the age of 57. His publicist, Yvette Noel Short, told the Associated Press the music icon was found dead at his home Thursday in suburban Minneapolis. Sources had said he had been sick for some time, battling the flu. In fact, last weekend, his plane had to make an emergency landing after a concert in Atlanta in Illinois so he could be treated for the flu, but he was released, sent back home. But word coming just now that the musician Prince has died. Born Prince Riders Nelson in Minneapolis. He came to fame in the 1980s with albums like 1999 and Purple Rain. The songs Little Red Corvette, When Doves Cry became one of the most commercially successful American pop artists ever, selling over 100 million albums. I'm joined on the phone now by Leah Greenblatt from Entertainment Weekly. And Leah, how would you describe the impact of Prince on the music world?
I almost feel like you can't even calculate the impact of what he did for pop music, for pop culture, for fashion, the films were maybe not his best work, but he was so iconic visually, sonically, has such a huge influence and impact, and was also just such a unique personality and such a unique songwriter.
In some ways, his genius, the character he created.
Absolutely, yes. I think, and he lived inside that his whole life. I think he really was living as an artist right up until the end.
Joined also by Kate Coyne of People magazine. As I said, Kate, we had heard that he'd been sick battling the flu, but this still comes as a surprise.
Oh, it absolutely does. I just don't think anybody was prepared, especially even after the incidents of last week, when what we were told was, well, he just had the flu and he's okay now. I don't think anybody's mind went to this as a possibility. It's absolutely stunning news. He was not known to have been battling any sort of serious illness. He's certainly essentially a young man. 57, this is just not the age in which you expect to lose someone.
Enigmatic figure as well, changed his name several times, including that period where he even had his name was a glyph, and then he was known as the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to the fact that, as you said, George, he created something of a character for himself. Although Prince was actually his given name, the persona of Prince and no last name had a sort of element of mystery built into it, and that served him quite well because he was a very private person. He didn't share much about his personal life, and that entire episode in which he was fighting against a record contract that he felt enslaved him, and he changed his name to a symbol, and then went as the artist formerly known as. That just also showed his willingness to really push boundaries and limits with his creative persona, with his creative expression. He was a real groundbreaker.
And Jem Aswald from Billboard magazine, also a perfectionist.
Unquestionably. There are multiple versions of a lot of his songs floating around on bootlegs, but at the same time, he often worked very quickly. The engineer, Susan Rogers, who worked with him on When Doves Cry, she said the tape never left the desk. The song was done in a matter of hours. And, you also hear about things like there were more synthesizers on it, and there was a bass part, but he didn't like it, so he took it out. He worked incredibly quickly and incredibly thoroughly. He was an artist in the truest sense.
Jem Aswald, thanks very much again. The news that the pioneering musical artist Prince has died at the age of 57 in suburban Minneapolis. We're going to have much more tonight on World News Tonight. You can follow us anytime at abcnews.com. I'm George Stephanopoulos in New York. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Or taking medicines that cause heart